Good evening. So we'll get everybody in, get them seated, hopefully. Want to introduce myself. My name's Colin Groff. I'm an assistant city manager for the city. This project, the Town Square Boynton Beach project, is a project that right now, because I guess I missed a meeting, that they assigned to me to get this thing done. In the city, if you miss meetings, you always get big projects. So we try to really go to meetings when we can. But we're glad y'all are here. So I'm going to start real quick saying what this project is real quick. All right, because I like to start that way in every building. The city for 20 years has been planning to do a redevelopment on this 16 acres that are down here. The city owns this 16-acre square. It's 4 blocks or 5 blocks area. Most of the buildings on here are 50-plus years old. They're into the point where it's time to replace them. And so what Town Square Boynton Beach is a redevelopment project to create a vibrant downtown area for the citizens to enjoy. And included in that is some new government buildings because, unfortunately, us government employees, we really do like a place to show up to work and stay dry. And right now we have a city hall that we don't stay dry in most of the time because it leaks. But so what the project entails is the first thing that's really exciting is the restoration of the old high school. So we're going to restore that whole high school into a new civic building. And it's going to house all the civic programs that we have right now. The second part of the project is we're going to relocate the police department to a new site on High Ridge that is next to Fire Station 5, and that had been planned for the last 20 years to do that, and we're finally moving forward with that. Third part of the project is to build a new city complex in this downtown area. That's a new city hall, totally refurbished, new library areas. What we really are excited about is we want to take the library and bring it to the 21st century and make it a 21st century library. So it's an information technology and arts center. So it's a place people come, interact, learn, and enjoy what Boynton Beach has to offer. So it's more than just books and libraries. So that's the third part. The next part is we're going to have to build some parking. So we've got to build a couple parking garages so people can come down here and enjoy it. The next part is building a bunch of parks in the 16 acres. We're going to build a big green space, new amphitheater, place for concerts, place for events. We're going to have an active family area. You know, I don't know exactly what's going to be in there. We talked a little bit last week about what's going in those things, but there'll be an active family area, green space area, and then a new refurbished area for kids to play in. And then the rest of the land that's left over is going to be for private development because the one thing about this project, we're doing it without any current city money. We're going to build this and fund this with money that's not in the city right now. It's the money that's going to be generated from the new private development. So it's a way for the city to partner with private developers to fund the city infrastructure that's well needed without impacting people's taxes right now, which is I think is really exciting. So that's kind of what the project is. So tonight we're here to start looking at some architectural styles we want in this downtown area. What do we want it to look like and what do we want to do? So I want to introduce a couple people that are going to lead us through this. And Wayne right here is from our architect. He's one of our architects. He's our lead architect, actually. And he's, I think, going to run the meeting. And then Corey is actually the guy that does all the work. Because us guys that sit up here and talk really don't do any work. We just talk. Then we have people that actually do all the work. So I'm going to turn it over to them. They're going to go through their presentation. It's going to be very interactive. So please participate because that's how we get the best information. So with that,
thank you, Colin. I appreciate it. And just to reiterate what Colin said, what we're doing tonight is that we're going to show a series of images of different styles of buildings. These are not the proposed buildings for this project. These are just simply styles. And we really, from our team, we have not come to any conclusions of architectural styles. What we have done is we've put together a series of images that we want to get your reaction to. And then from that reaction and the comments that you make tonight, we're going to go and start to design the 16-acre buildings that sit on this site. So I just wanted to be clear on that. And tonight, I also wanted to at least bring up the pictures of the legacy projects that are currently on the site that Colin had talked about, one being the high school, which is getting refurbished, and also the Children's Museum, which will stay and also have a freshening up as well. So these are also two important features to the site. When we look at civic and public buildings, they have certain styles. Historic in America, we have a neoclassical style. There's Mediterranean styles, and then we've also looked at coastal styles. So the three styles that we've brought tonight for you to look at, to comment on, are some of the styles that we've seen across Florida, some that we've seen in Boynton locally. And so we want to show what we think would be appropriate for the current master plan. The first one we have is neoclassical, and of course this building is a City Hall in Key West. It was a high school that got converted to a City Hall, so it is actually a historic neoclassical building. This type of architecture has been in the United States since the beginning of our country and is featured in many public spaces. So neoclassical. And then, of course, you know the traditional neoclassical, which you see at many civic buildings and art museums. We also have a deco version of neoclassical, which this one is. So we want to get some feedback on these types of building styles and what you like and don't like in these styles. And then there's also a contemporary version of neoclassical. This is actually a courthouse out in California. And in addition to that, we do have a Mediterranean style. And so it was really difficult to pick a Meisner building down here because there's so many great Meisner buildings. So I at least started with a Palm Beach City Hall, which is a great example of that. We also have a very simplified Mediterranean style, barrel tile roofs and porches. In addition to that, we also have contemporary styles. And the contemporary style still has the same forms, the formats, the textures, and the materials. It's just retold in a modern sense. And then we also have another contemporary style as well. This is actually in Winter Park, which is also a contemporary Mediterranean style building. And then we also have coastal. Now, coastal is another style that is great. It ties back to Boynton and the coastal community. It also ties back to many parts of Florida. This one happens to be up in the northern part of Florida. But it represents porches, tin roofs, and step backs. And then, of course, we got the seaside version with a colonial influence. We have another coastal Florida style. And then we also have a modern contemporary style, too, which takes the forms of the classic coastal style. And these are the styles I have. And what I thought I would do is I would go back to the slides and start to take input on what you guys feel like, which images you like, and what you think you would want for this community. So with that, questions? Hey, Corey.
I'm going to run back here again.
1, 2.
Oh, there we go. You do that side, I'll do that.
Thank you. Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. I would say no to the neoclassical because we have nothing else like that in our city, and that would really stick out like a very sore thumb. So and while I do like neoclassical, I think it's appropriate. Look at the Palm Beach, the original Palm Beach Courthouse and how gorgeous that is, but that's fitting with the architectural styles in West Palm Beach, whereas it doesn't fit at all in our city. So I think we should be looking at some kind of Meisner Spanish Mediterranean style, maybe slightly updated, or, and as we move closer to the water, further east, maybe more the coastal, because I know some of the commissioners really like that. And I don't object to that. I object to the fact if you look at our two, I don't know my orientation, but our two schools across the street, they're not necessarily Meisner, but they're Mediterranean-esque. And if we're going to have other governmental buildings in this general vicinity, let's make them all cohesive. So I would tend to say more of a Mediterranean-esque style down at this end. For example, I don't know if a lot of people know, Meisner actually designed a city hall for our city, and I've been advocating for a couple months now, and I brought copies of the plans with me, that we should use that at least as the front entranceway into the new city hall, and maybe make it like a little foyer area that is the Meisner itself, and then build up and do whatever crazy stuff you're going to do in a similar theme, but then we can say we honestly have a Meisner City Hall. And as we have the only public access Meisner building in South Florida with our women's club, when it makes sense to have another public access Meisner building and let that be our city hall. And that's been my thought that I've been pushing for a couple months now. But I have papers to share. I brought 20 if anybody wants to see it.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. No, you don't have to stand up. You don't have to stand up. Just speak in the microphone so everybody can hear you.
I agree with a lot of what the last speaker said, and I'm only here 2 years, but from a small college town in Ohio. And I like the fact that the, renowned William Manley King High School is it's one of our benchmarks. And again, for South Florida cities that may only go back to the turn of the century or a little before, I think that's important. I also feel that the Children's Museum goes along with that. Also, I think that architects need to be challenged to work within these parameters. We have to be careful, I think, not to become like the Boynton on the other side of 95, which is great in its own way. But I think if we lose this important part of our identity, you don't get it back. And the other thing I would say that hasn't been brought up is there are so many mid-century modern gems from the time that are original. And again, if we had to mix two, I would say it, and the experts disagree on what exactly the William Manley King High School is as far as its design, but if we had limited to two styles, either maybe the mid-century modern and then some of our earliest architecture, even including the Art Deco aspects in the high school.
Also, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Casello as well. Commissioner Casello is here, just to let everyone know.
Thank you. I have a Meisner home myself, and I just came back from Savannah, Georgia, and I gotta say, when you see these vintage little old world type vignettes and you walk down the river walk, it makes you want to go into one of those stores and sit a while and just reflect. It also gives a sense of family. A lot of people have been fragmented in families, and I think that somehow when you do an old town kind of with the roots, it kind of makes you feel like you're home, whatever that might be in somebody's mind. As I was looking at some of them like the Mediterranean that were, let's go back to see, those are great, but that looks like Boca to me, that looks like Miami to me. I'm from Miami, so I think that we should be definitely a little different from that. And this here, it just adds a quaintness. I think people will talk more. It will give an atmosphere of like you're on vacation, even though you live here, because the architect reeks, come. We want you to come, sit a spell, come, walk down the street, enjoy this moment. And again, going to Italy, the little cafes along the wharf, it's charming. I just think the Mediterranean for me is a style that says, come home, and you're here.
Not to get too deep into architectural history, but when Meisner created the term Mediterranean, that's what he also envisioned for this area. He thought it would be a vacation spot, and the style of architecture for this would be that vacation. So it's interesting and good that you connect to that, because that was the original intent of Mediterranean architecture when Meisner coined the phrase of that after his trip to Italy. Yeah. So.
Sir, can you hear it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're not Boca, and we don't need to have the same architecture as Boca. I think we're a coastal town. I think it started as a fishing town, as I have heard.
Yes.
So I think the Mediterranean I call it, the hodgepodge of every motif known to man, as you look at some of the buildings down in Boca. We need to have more clarity. It's more like a coastal, with a Mediterranean roof maybe, but the coastal feel is what we need to go to. We're not Boca, and it's neoclassical, we have, and we don't. And neoclassical doesn't have anything to do with our city at all. We have no neoclassical background. The other man brought up the mid-century, which is really blends really well with the coastal.
Thank you.
Hello. I agree with her. We are Boynton Beach, and we have a history. We have already started renovating the town. I'd like to call downtown. But I want to inject that with the new technologies and new material and new energy, are you keeping that in mind in this design? Solar, anything efficient? You have the Galaxy Elementary, which is a great example. It's a beautiful architecture, totally green. And I think in this environment of Boynton Beach being the coastal, I think you have to strongly stay with that because it blends right into the neighborhood, and we're going into a new time, new material. I think we should stay with it, especially green. I mean, you can't go backwards.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm going to talk from back here. That's an excellent point. We are going to try to build as much green into these buildings as possible. Solar and other forms of energy saving. That is one of the themes of the project. So as we pick architectural styles, that's something else we've challenged the architects with. So that's a great point. I just want to make that said because I think we're really excited about that part of the project, which is making it a green project.
My name's Barbara Rady. Could you please go to the picture where there's like porches? I think that's the coastal. Nope, other way. Yeah, there you go. My opinion is if we're going to sacrifice the density that we're going to sacrifice down Ocean Avenue, I would love to see something like this facing Ocean Avenue because, as Cindy points out, it's warm, it's inviting, it's reminiscent of other vacation cities where you can hang out and hear the music from the amphitheater down the street. So I would challenge the architects to come up with a blend of Mediterranean and that.
Thank you.
Hello? Yes, I would agree with the coastal direction. I think the Mediterranean and Meisner is classic, but I think it's very dated, and I think we can push the boundaries a little bit and come forward with this coastal feel. We do have some branding and breeze into Boynton and some other things. I would really like to see us move forward with that style.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Brenda Williams. I live at 337 Northeast 24th Avenue. When you say 16 acres, what is the geographical location of these 16 acres? It goes from where to where to where to where?
Okay, I'll try to answer that. I'm sorry I'm behind you. I'll tell you what, I'll walk to the front. Okay, I'm in the back handing out the geographical area is the north boundary is Boynton Beach Boulevard, the south boundary is Southeast 2nd Avenue, the west boundary is Seacrest, which is right here, and the east boundary is Southeast 1st Street.
The last lady mentioned something about on Ocean Avenue having something, so it's Ocean Avenue going down to the railroad. Is that part of that 16 acres or not?
Yeah, I could bring up, we don't,
That's
I guess
what I'm saying.
we could bring up Google Maps.
I'm a visual person, and I need to see what you're talking about when you say 16 acres.
Yeah, that's the square. Ocean Avenue starts here at Seacrest in this project and goes to Southeast 1st Street. So that part of Ocean Avenue is in this, and it's what the high school faces, the old high school, and it's where the Schoolhouse Museum faces. Now, once you get past there, that's not part of this project, but it is part of the CRA master plan that does call for that kind of architecture all the way to Federal on Ocean. So the answer is while it's not part of this project, it is part of the overall downtown redevelopment, and we're going to get, we have the master plan calls for that type of development on that section of Ocean.
Okay,
So I
you're
think that
talking
answers
about
your question.
relocating the police department, which is also over off of Boynton Beach Boulevard and what's that
Right.
street?
It's on.
So, over there by where the fire station is,
There we go.
I got to use my phone on this one, so if things pop up.
at the fire station, I find it a hazard over there when those emergency wagons are trying to get out there on Gateway. The traffic is horrendous.
Right, so.
And you talking about putting the police station there too,
on-
over there off
on-
of Gateway.
Yeah.
I find it a very hazardous location. Now, if we're gonna do some kind of overpass over I-95 or something for those emergency
Right.
trucks to go over, because to try and get out there on Gateway,
Yeah.
and the cars are already got the 3 lanes blocked, and they trying to move over and not hit anybody. So I don't care if it's over there, but I'm just saying we need to do something other than just locate the the police station over there. Has to do with something, a hazard. Okay, and another thing with the buildings that you were saying.
I was just going to show the area real quick. This is the area. It's here. Whoops. Starts here. Yeah, you got to pull it down a little bit. That's the problem is with, see if you can, there. Okay. This is, well, go down a little bit further. So, right, that's good right there. So here's Boynton Beach Boulevard. So it's Seacrest, Boynton Beach Boulevard to Northeast First to, now you got to go up, to Second Avenue. So it's that block right there. This is the area right here.
So that's not-
This is Ocean. And so from this point out to Federal is not part of the project, but it is part of the overlay district, and it is part of the CRA master plan to get this with that kind of look that we have in that master plan. So I wanted to answer that question for you so you knew where it was.
Okay, now it was another parking, one of those structures had like a parking garage off the back of it. Is that what you're looking at with the architecture? And you're talking about having private developers, so I'm trying to visualize
Yeah,
how that's going to look in that area there, because it doesn't look like a lot.
Well, we don't know what it's going to look like. That's what we're doing tonight. We're trying to get the input so we can figure out what it's going to look like. So that's what tonight is for. And then Monday, we're having an update for the City Commission.
Monday?
Monday night is a special meeting for the City Commission, and we're going to try, hopefully, we have a preliminary site plan ready to answer some of those questions, if it's ready. We're hoping to have it ready, but it's just an update of where we are. So to answer your question, we don't know yet. That's what we're here tonight to. We want to figure out what we want it to look like.
So are we going to have like a civic center where the civic center is right now?
The Civic Center is going to go into the old high school.
Oh, so it's going to be moved.
It's going to be moved. The high school is being developed to a new civic center. So that's the plan for the high school, is to use that building as a new civic center. And again, that architectural style is pretty much already set because we're trying to preserve it and restore it. So
'Cause I
that's,
didn't realize we had approved to restore that building, because it was still a lot of controversy surrounding whether to
It's-
save it or destroy it. So.
it's been approved for a year to move forward to restore it.
I just have a question. Regarding the fire station, and is that going to be eliminated, and is it going to be replaced? Does that mean this area will no longer have a fire station, firehouse?
It is getting relocated and replaced with a brand-new fire station.
Okay, so how, okay.
Right here, in this-
So,
yeah.
okay, because that was the concern. So how long, temporarily to Gateway, right? The temporary location.
I think she's saying, what my major questions with some of the things is, things will be in pre-construction, post-construction, during construction. The major things that, the public use will be down for some time. What is I know this may not be the forum for that, you just let me know. Where are all those things going to be routed to while you're transitioning, having major construction over a period of maybe 5 years?
Switch my, yeah, that's a great question, and I'm going to be honest with you, we don't have all of those plans in place. The construction for the city portion is, right now, the schedule is 18 months. That's what we're pushing for. That's a very aggressive schedule, but the reason we're doing that is so we don't have to shut programs down, so we can keep things open during the entire construction and make sure all of these programs are continuing to be offered. So to answer your question is we, keeping things open. Programs are the fire station, right. So the idea is we're not going to close anything. We're going to offer the services, and we're going to build the new stuff while the old stuff is open, and then move the old stuff into the new stuff before we close the old stuff. We can't not have a fire station. Now, let's talk about the fire station specifically. There may be a 2 to 3 month period where the fire station reports out of Fire Station 5, which we've done before. It would be a very short period of time until the new fire station's finished. If we can finish the new fire station quick enough, then it won't happen. But that's part of the scheduling that we don't have developed yet. So to answer your question, we can't tell you exactly how it's going to work, but we are telling you we're going to try to keep everything open until the new stuff is ready and move into the new stuff, so nothing gets closed during construction. Now, I'm not guaranteeing every single thing, but we're saying we're working our best to get a schedule that works. That's why we're trying to people say you're building this project really fast. Well, that's why we're going to build it really fast, so we can keep things open. Because if it took 5 years, that's too long. So we're going to try to build the city infrastructure in 18 months from today. That's a very short period of time, but by doing that, we can keep things open. So I know that's a little bit off of this subject.
Sorry, I came in a little late.
Yeah. So tonight we're talking architectural style.
Okay, so I came in a little late, and I saw only the coastal. The coastal, if you're trying to match it or close to even the historic buildings, it's not the same. So I only saw the coastal. So what was the other couple? You have, which other one?
Neoclassical and Mediterranean.
Okay, can I see that?
Yeah. This is Mediterranean.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And then we have the contemporary. So we went from a historic Meisner building all the way to a new modern contemporary. So that's the Mediterranean. We also have the coastal, which we were showing as well. Not really looking at historical references in the slide.
I got you. You're just trying to get the style so it doesn't look like something built in the 1804 versus 21st century. I understand.
Okay. And then we also
This looks like the Norton outside a little bit.
And this is the neoclassic version. This is actually a 1928 building that was redone as the Key West Town Hall.
Okay.
Hall. And then these are just simply iconic neoclassical buildings throughout the country. And that's a deco version of that.
Okay.
And then that's a contemporary version of that neoclassical style. And really, we were, as we start designing things, we also want to look at what does a library, what does a city hall want to be, and its architectural style. It's a civic and public building, and that stands for certain things. And there were some great comments earlier about the master plan, how it's cohesive and all works together and is inviting. And part of our job is to take the input tonight and to give that back to you in some sort of architectural form. So the input that you guys are giving tonight is great, because then it allows us to reproduce that in something that will give you all the things that you're asking for tonight. Yep.
Sorry. Hey, real quick, right? So as we're going through the styles, right, there's a cost and a tag to each style, right?
Yes.
So what style is more economical?
I would say that each style will cost the same depending on how much you detail that style. Would be my
They're
answer.
all costing the same?
They would, yes. We usually get a budget developed by either the city or the contractor, and then we design to any style within that budget. So they would all be in the same budget. And a simple answer.
Mike Fitzpatrick. What I'm not really concerned about if it's Mediterranean or neoclassical. What I'm concerned about is maximizing solar power. So it needs to be a flat roof, and I either like the neoclassical where you got straight up. I think you need like a 5-foot parapet behind that, or a mansard on the Mediterranean that has a 5-foot well so that when you put up the panels, I think panels are, if I remember correctly, are like 66 inches by 40 inches. So if they're 66 inches, then if you had like a 5-foot well, next time you have a hurricane, it would, the winds would kind of pass over and it wouldn't be as much debris. So that's what but you would be able to maximize your power.
Thank you.
How you doing today? I was looking at it in the area, and the new, the Intercoastal Park and the building that's up there, I think that is about one of the best looking buildings in the area, and it's of the coastal style, and I think that would be a really nice look for the downtown area too. I just also would wish they would keep more to the color scheme like the library has, where it's nice and bright, instead of going either white or tan.
Thank you. Yes.
There's always a odd man out, and here I am. I'm a kid that likes Tomorrowland, and so we're in the 21st century, moving forward rapidly. So I'd just like to put my 2 cents in to say that it should be modern, it should be tasteful. I know zip about architecture, but I know what pleases my eye. And I think that you can have all the quaint little shops that this lady talked about, and we still can be modern, contemporary, and unique. We are not Boca, we are not Del Rey, we are Boynton, and we should stand out in that way. Unique.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'd like to echo a little bit of what she's saying, not that I'm for, my name's Kim Weiss, by the way, but the fact that we have a burgeoning arts community and, and we have a lot of plans headed in that realm, that I think it would be really nice to have that reflected in the architecture. And I think, I happen to love every style, so I couldn't really pick one, and I tend to like things that are eclectic. But I don't think it would hurt us to stretch a little bit out of our comfort zone into a modern place where, and this, believe me, I don't mean the entire thing, but to interject modernity into like an artistic look and kind of raise the bar. And a lot is going on for the sophistication level of this town. So I think we really should reflect that we're an art town.
And you will be pleased to know that next week we do have public space and art too. And in this design, and as we've been working forward, art has been a primary part of how we move the whole project forward. So that will be incorporated.
Thank you, Jenny Foote. Our interest is in shade trees, impact glass, hurricane preparedness, and a lot of shade.
Yeah.
Shade.
So lots of shade. Yes.
Because I've seen where they built these schools and did it one story, and then the next thing you know, they've outgrown it.
Yes.
So what is our life expectancy is what we should look for. Because like you said, we've renovated the city hall, but it's been 50 years. So are we going to maximize up? Do we have a height limit that we're going to be working with? Or what? Because you can't get any more land. Once you use up the 16 acres, you're done.
Right.
So if we need to expand, are we going to be able to go up? That's just one of the things I wanted to bring out, because a lot of the schools fall into that trap.
All right, yeah, I'll try to answer that. Yeah, we are planning for a 60-year time span for the growth. So we are putting growth into the buildings. Now, one of the things about what we're looking at is technology is also going to grow too, and technology lowers the amount of space you have. So we're putting both of those together. But to answer your question, we are planning for growth, so we don't run out of space in the next 60 years. And in 60 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not sure right now I care after 60 years. So, so if we get to 60 years and I'm still around, I'm going to be really happy anyway, so.
Okay. My name is Judy Cloutier. She brought up an interesting point that they redid the City Hall. And when I first got here, I looked at that thing. I said, oh, they followed the trend of the day when they did that. It became dated real fast.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that again. Because that, I mean, I looked at that and thought, oh, that's a junky looking place.
Yes.
It needs to, so whatever we do, let's not follow a trend. I think Boca followed a trend with Meisner, and it's looking dated.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Yvonne Scovron. The other project with the CRA are doing further east on Ocean Avenue, do we have an idea of what that style will be?
Colin?
How come I'm getting all the questions? Okay, what was the project? I'm sorry.
You know what the CRA are doing? You said this is our 16 acres, but then they're doing a little bit something going east on Ocean Avenue. What's their future
Okay,
planning?
right, okay. There's a CRA master plan for that area. It's still part of the cultural district, so it's following those guidelines. Right now, they don't have anything. I'm trying to think if there's any projects. There is a project that's in for review right now that is between the railroad track and Southeast 3rd Street that is following those guidelines. So now the architectural style, again, since it's private development, we're giving them some guidelines, and I think it's going to kind of follow what we're doing here, but not exactly. One of the things that we've been told, and I'm an engineer, so I build square boxes. That's normally what I do. So, but what I've been told and taught is you don't want the exact same architecture in every building, but you want it complementary.
Well,
so that project will have to be complementary to the architecture that we pick here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We don't want to be identical, but I would like it to see a nice flow. A flow rather than saying, well, we're going to be Mediterranean and they're going to be something very contemporary or...
Right. They have to be, the way our codes are written now is projects have to be complementary to the projects around them and meeting the guidelines that are in the master plan. And those guidelines, again, part of this meeting is to work on the architectural styles for this, but we're going to take the input out of this meeting also and help work on architectural guidelines for the entire cultural district to match this. So we do get that complementary architectural style throughout Ocean, to answer your question. So that is the idea, and that's why we actually haven't brought those forward yet. We actually pulled those items off the commission's agenda to look at because we want y'all's input first, and then we will go forward and put those into code format.
Right, and I understand with the school that is being renovated, I presume you're going to be keeping that style. It's going to really just be updated, refreshed, but it will kind of look the same as it does now?
Yes.
Well, that's the whole point of historical buildings.
Yes.
They have their own unique look, and then they stand out from the crowd because they are historical. So my point is not to follow suit with that, is to get something, and I agree with this lady, we do want to have our own identity. Boca is looking very dated now. It was the style, but that Mediterranean, I would like to see a combination. I like coastal. I mean, maybe that's just my preference. Some combination of kind of intertwining a bit of Mediterranean and coastal, but and some modern, moving with the times. But don't follow going Mediterranean because of the schooling, because I think that when I walk in the mornings, I like to see these. It stands out. Oh, that's historical. That one's historical.
Right. And that keeps it unique. And
that keeps it unique.
Yes.
And if we start kind of following with this, I think it will just get lost.
Thank you.
Can you go back to the one that has the trellis? Can you go back to the one that has the trellis? This right here.
Mediterranean, it's Mediterranean? Yeah.
Saying is I like it. but it has some, what do you call it, like eco-friendly.
Yes.
That would mean it's, because we're going to like green,
Right, yes.
right? I think we should also, as a suggestion, also put sustainability and greening in some of the architecture and just not plaster and red tile roofs and things like that. That's, you know, that is where we are heading. Like you said, I believe that's something also that should be put into place.
Thank you.
I'm Jeannie Hevelin. Boynton Beach for years and years has been grappling with an identity that's kind of nautical or marina themed. And I really feel it's time that we hone in on that and sharpen it and go. I personally happen to like contemporary, but something to tie in with the coastal theme and modern and lots of shade and sustainable.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. How large are these structures that you're putting up?
How large?
I once saw sketches of the plan.
That's a tough question.
That is a very tough question.
Large is very relative. I can tell you the square footages that we need for the public buildings, because that's all we can do right now. The public buildings, we need about 50,000 square feet for the city hall. You know, library is 50,000 square feet plus or minus. The new Civic Center, which is the old high school, is about 28,000 square feet. Those are the city buildings. The private buildings, I can't tell you because I'm going to be honest with you, they haven't actually gotten that far yet. So we don't really know yet. But we're working on that. And as the plan develops, that information will be out there and be public. So I don't know if that answers your question on largeness, because that's a hard one to define.
Well, some of the sketches I saw a few years ago, they were like 5-6-story buildings.
There will be some there will be some height, absolutely, because we're trying to get the density. This is the area, cultural district, the downtown district. The city has decided to get density. So yes, they will be taller buildings, but not all the buildings will be taller buildings.
Does that mean you're taking down the library?
We don't know yet. It could be. It could not be. Hopefully by Monday, we'll have a better idea of what we're going to actually do, and with a site plan. There is a potential that the library gets replaced with a new library. And actually, that's not a bad thing. You know, this building looks really nice, but it leaks like a sieve, and that's not good for books. So there is definitely a potential. One of the things we're trying to do as a city is build what's going to last for 60 to 70 years. Because that's what's best, in my opinion, that's what's best for the taxpayers. Let's build something really nice that's going to last for 60 to 70 years, that's not going to force us to do something in 10 years from now. So we're really thinking about the future and replacing it. And if you're building new buildings, you'd never want to leave something old with the new building. So there is definitely a potential that we'll replace the entire library. So I'm not going to say it's not. Well, we don't know yet. We're still in those planning stages. So Monday we'll have a better idea. Next Thursday we'll get some more ideas. And every week that goes by, we're growing these plans. And it's really with the public input. As we get the public input, we make changes to the plans. So we've heard some things already tonight that are really good outside of the architectural styles that we will take into account. I tried to answer that.
That was perfect.
That's a hard question.
Mike Fitzpatrick again. Listen to people talk about modernity. Are you familiar with Engineering East building at FAU, Florida Atlantic University?
No, but I'll look it up.
It's LEED Platinum.
Okay.
And I think it was designed by the engineers, but it still looks pretty good. And it has light shelves. Are you familiar with light?
Yes.
So what would you call light shelves in design?
So light shelves can be in any style. It is a contemporary element to any style. So we could apply that to coastal, Mediterranean, neoclassical, modern, and really any type, any style that could be added to any building.
So you could fit that anywhere, pretty much.
Yes.
What you say. Okay.
Yes.
But so those are the kind of features I think should be in our buildings for good energy usage.
Thank you.
Hi, Barbara Reedy again. I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about color. Many of us would prefer to see cool ocean colors, zoning in on what Jeannie Haviland said about our branding exercises and focusing on our marina and us being a coastal city. I think that a lot of us would like to see blues and greens and white and cool colors. I mean, certainly the cooler colors would help as far as the sustainability of the project. We're not too crazy about the oranges and the terracottas and the even the color of the library. I know one man said he liked it, but we'd like to see ocean colors. Thanks.
Thank you.
Also, just one point, we're talking only about the city property for development. We're not stylizing what the private sector's doing. So basically, it's just this one actual block that we're in now, the library and the civic center, correct? And they're going to be able to do what they want with the private sector. So we're only designing this one block, not 16 acres.
Well, the architectural style is for the whole project. I mean, again, we're trying to come up with some architectural styles that will be used for the entire project for the private development also. There will be guidelines put in place in the rules. Once we finish this exercise, we'll start writing some guidelines on what those architectural styles will be, and the private property developers will have to follow those, just like they have to follow other rules. So it's not just do whatever you want. But the way we're paying for this project is with the private development. It is a public-private partnership, and that's what that means, is we need the private development to help pay for the public, so we don't have to raise taxes a lot to pay for the public stuff that needs to be done. So yeah, so to answer your question, is there is some controls, and those developers are actually, the private developers are actually working with us on this project, so they're not out there just waiting to do their own thing. They're actually part of the development team working with us, because we want to make all this stuff work together in the whole project. So we want the architectural styles and the colors to work together also. So tonight, like I said, if you want to talk about colors, that's fine too, because that is part of the architectural style thing for the architect. So colors, architectural style, that's what we want to get input on. And so far, you guys are doing great, so give us some more.
Private developers.
No, there's nothing concrete right now. Yeah, they're actually a key member of our team, so they're involved, as we're working through this. They're listening to the comments, and they're going to incorporate the comments.
Oh, right behind you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the decision's been made to invest in the high school, and it's a very expensive investment. It's going to be around a long time. It's going to be a beautiful building.
My name is Tim Dalheim, and I live at 114 West Ocean, which is just across the street here, the second house in, sort of across from the Methodist Church parking lot. And moving forward, I think I might be getting ahead a little bit, but regardless of the style that is ultimately chosen, I have concerns about lighting that affects the neighborhoods. I wonder about the setbacks and variances, including height changes that will come with the project. I'm also concerned about buffering, that if a parking lot is chosen to be what I will see now in certain spaces, will that be buffered? And again, as it is now, it can look out and see the stars and the moon and everything, and I wonder about that as well. If this is, many of these, I know these images are just for the architectural display, but wondering how lit it will be. And one last thing is that it seems to me that right now, when there's music from the amphitheater or even from Pirate Fest, that the music ends at a certain time. But when you live in the neighborhood, surrounding, that is an issue. I wonder if that will be accelerated, if the time parameters will be kept on that, and if there are more bars or nightclubs in Town Square, will those be have patios and live music as well? And again, I know not everyone lives in as close a proximity than I do, but it's a big neighborhood around these 6 blocks, and maybe the nice gentleman, our engineer, could answer, will some of these questions be addressed moving forward as we go along and get more of the concrete plans and things, and will we have input on lighting, buffering, etc.?
All right, the short answer is yes. That's a very short answer, but those are all considerations when you're designing the site. Light buffering to make sure the lights doesn't have any spillover. We have a very good civil engineer designing the site. The architects will work with the civil engineer. They work together to design those things to make sure there's not that overspray of lighting, because that is critical. Noise. There's no nightclubs or anything planned in the Town Square Central, although there may be some small things out on Boynton Beach Boulevard and some of the private development, but out on Boynton Beach Boulevard, not internal to the site. Now, I will say, and I'm totally honest with people, so I will say that when there's events downtown in the Town Square, there's a big event area, there may be some noise. Now, it's being designed, so a lot of that noise is going to be absorbed by buildings, so you won't spill over, but nobody's ever going to promise that you won't have a little bit of noise during a big event. So if you have a Pirate Fest and there's a band that plays till 10 o'clock at night, you might hear it in the background a little lightly. You try to design a site so when you're in your house you can't hear it. That's how you try to design these big projects, and I've worked on many of these across the state, and you can do that successfully. So yes, to answer your question, the long answer is yes, we will consider all those things, and those things will be built in. Will it be perfect for every single person? No. But we'll do our best to make sure the neighborhoods are protected, because those neighborhoods are staying neighborhoods, and we need them to stay neighborhoods because they're great neighborhoods, and we want them to stay neighborhoods. The experience I've had in other parts of the state is you can do these projects next to neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods actually grow. They become better neighborhoods if they're done right, and that's what we're trying to do, is make it a better neighborhood, and it's a great neighborhood now. So getting better is only that much better.
Thank you.
Can you go back a little bit, a couple slides? Move it that way a little bit. That one. That right there, I really like that. We're setting that up to be what? What is that going to be? What is that?
That's just an architectural style. That one's in California, and it's a town square in California with a Mediterranean style.
I like the open, because they're open and friendly, the colors, everything like that. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. Ramona Young. I would like to piggyback the lady with the color, because psychologically, if you have nice colors, soft colors, people stay calmer. So consideration for the colors. And this piece here should be within the parameter of the next one. This is what will tell you about my eye. This is the outside. The other one is the inside, the back, so that you would be able to do both things in that circle. I've seen that in Alexandria. I've seen it in Havana, where there's an open space there and people gather. So that's a consideration, definitely contemporary.
Thank you. Yeah, I can get the specifics. It's at, oh.
Town Square for here.
No, actually let me.
He's asking about the name. Yeah, right now we're calling it Town Square Boynton Beach. We can call it anything we want. There's not. Right. So make some more suggestions. We're always looking for branding.
The Cove, I don't know. Okay, Cove is everywhere, the word itself.
Hey, if you guys could talk into the mic,
The
that
color,
would be
the colors,
helpful,
sorry.
because we're taking minutes, and this is important for you guys to hear it next week.
The colors?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not a color person, but I just looked up moccasin. It's a color that's moccasin.
Okay.
So it's like in the yellow color, but very faded yellow. And on the blues, like it's like a pale turquoise.
Okay.
So those are like some of the, because I don't know what your hues you're looking at. Like, what are the suggestions you want from us as like palettes of colors that are plausible?
All of your suggestions now, it's wide open. So we're taking all of your comments now. We're going to write them down, and then we're going to...
Honeydew.
Honeydew.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Wilson. Could you go one slide ahead, please? I don't really have much of a concern with the, quote, architectural style. I like overall Mediterranean and coastal. To me, this contemporary and the modern kind of blends both. So I have a little idea of going forward with something like this. My main concern, as Barbara and a few others said, is two things. Number one, the past 10 years or so, most of the condo projects and other projects have gone with a bold color scheme. Condos where they're red, where they're orange, Federal and the Ocean and Federal right now, orange and gray. Some of those projects now have been purchased with new owners, and they are scaling that back. They're painting them white, avocado, cooler colors. So if we could get some sort of coastal overall color. We don't need the bold colors in my view. The second thing I would like to say is that Boynton over the past several years has built to curb. There's no setback whatsoever, whether it's on a arterial street or even a side street. Boom, there it is. Your little bit of retail, your mixed use, your condo, you don't have anywhere to basically relax. What I would suggest is open areas, City Hall, a plaza. I know we're going to have the green area in a concert area, but fountain areas. We really need, in my view, areas downtown where people can congregate, where tables can be set out, and on a balmy summer day, if we ever have that, have people enjoy coming down to Boynton and having some conversation. Boynton does not like to, and the developers have not liked to design open areas. I think we need more of that.
I think that we haven't finished the site plan, as Colin says, but part of that has been the open public realm has been the key important part of how we lay this out. And I think that you will be happy and pleased with the amount of public realm, public space, gathering, and civic-minded spaces that are currently being talked about in the plan. So I think that it'll be a plus. Yes.
Hi, my name is John Trotch. Just echoing what Michael said, every great city that has great walkability, that people like to enjoy, to be outdoors in, has wide boulevards, has pedestrian avenues, wide setbacks, shaded, particularly here in these warmer climates, a lot of natural shade. Not a palm tree. No one's running to a palm tree for shade in the middle of the day. So very mature, lush trees that provide natural shade, but essentially you need the space. So look at Atlantic Avenue. east of Swinton. You have the wide sidewalk that you can walk, and also an additional space to be able to sit, to have social interaction, be able to put tables. Those two components are very necessary. And even street side parking. Street side parking, we have, what is it, the Las Ventanas. Right? They're on Federal. There's no street side parking. You have the restaurants, you have all the retail directly on the street, and it's hard to get to. I mean, there's a parking garage, it's great, but it just doesn't have that interaction. And if you want to go out and eat at Sweetwater, you're not going to go and sit right on top of an extremely busy road. So looking at this, looking at major streets, the La Rambla in Barcelona, unfortunately, an excellent example of just what you can do for a boulevard. That's something we definitely need to look at in this project and some of the public and private projects that are going in here. And if you could just, I'm sorry, just go back to the previous one. Yeah. Just on the design aspect, I think what's looking really good here, especially on the building to the right, that's actually about 6 stories, but it has that tiered on the top. So it sort of builds on, it doesn't look like you have a 6-story building right on top of you. That's very appealing. I think a lot of people have looked at this and appreciated this, and that's probably one thing you don't really know that's what you like about it, but it definitely makes an effect.
And all of the ingredients that you're talking about have been worked on in the master plan and the conceptual ideas currently. And both the coastal and Mediterranean style rely on a step back style in the architecture. So all of what you're saying, we have been looking at for this project.
Right. I would encourage, I think it'll be ready Monday night if you want to come. I mean, I think I think a lot of those things will be addressed. Again, Monday night is the kind of like when we're ready, I'm hoping it'll be ready to really show the public. We're going to be showing it to the commissioners to get their feedback, but the public's welcome to come and visually see it, and then we'll slowly get that site plan out as we develop it. You guys have had great comments tonight on the site plan that we can incorporate in and make sure we're addressing those issues. So those are actually really good comments, and we appreciate it. Right here. It's in this room. It's a workshop with the City Commission to get them an update, because they've approved us to move forward about 3 months ago, and we haven't told them what we're doing yet. So we're going to come. It's open to the public. Yeah, we're not going to. It's not public input like this. It's for the commission input, because we need their input too. But we're actually going to brief them on what you guys are talking about tonight. So we'll tell them, here's what the public's saying, and this is how we're incorporating those ideas, and then bring them up to date. Again, really not any decision making. It's more of just an update. But come 6 to 8 Monday night here in this room, and we will have, I'm 99% sure, a site plan to show that we will go over, that the architect will go over, and then we will hear some input, because there's commissioners listening to this meeting too. So
to piggyback on that, any idea, and I know we're not there yet, but any idea where we're moving with City Hall? Is it going to be in this parking lot? Is it going to be to the south? Is it going to be...
It's going to be somewhere between Ocean and Second in this area. I got to give a big reveal for Monday night. Really, we're still working on that. But it is going to be in this area.
My interest, thank you. I know it's a little off the topic, but I'm understanding the fire department, the police department up on Gateway. Are there plans for satellite police offices around the city, or is everything going to be on Gateway?
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for the police chief, but since I work with him every day, the police actually do zone reporting. So they actually work in their zones, and so that's kind of like a satellite office. We do have a couple satellite locations. One is in Renaissance Park. One is on Martin Luther King Boulevard, in a small thing, and then we'll have Gateway. The police do actually report to zones. So in their zone, that's their office, and that's their car. So we do zone reporting, and then they'll leave their zone if there's an emergency someplace that somebody needs help. They'll leave their zone, but they typically stay in their zone, and that is their office. So to answer your question, it's kind of a combination of both. There'll definitely be police presence downtown, even though they're moving out. But the real reason is we have a site on High Ridge next to our fire station, and that is going to be our public safety complex. That was planned 15 years ago, and we're finally now seeing the vision come to pass of actually being able to build. The police department the building right now is way undersized. I mean, they need about 50,000 square feet. They have like 16,000. So they are squeezed in with no room to do anything. And it really does affect that. So we really want to get them in a new building that's designed for the 21st century policing, which is different than it was in the 20th century. It's much more public contact, much more public input coming in. We're going to have a nice public space in the police station so the public can come and interact and not be an old, feel like you're coming to an institutional building, but more of a place to go to really get information when you need it. So, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Ramona Young, probably don't get too many compliments, but it's nice that signs were posted around the city and even west, because I live out west, coming to the city. That's why I am very interested. But I just want to applaud you to say that that was a good thing to do, that people can't say that they were not made aware or could make time, and you had 3 different dates. I missed the first one, but I hope to make all the rest, and thank you for putting it out there.
So this Monday, we're going to have a commission meeting for feedback as well to show more pictures and new buildings. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What time again?
6 to 8.
I'll need an interpreter there. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
And and I would say we do appreciate your input. We can't do these kind of projects don't happen without public input. And we have the 3 meetings we're having right now, which is at the beginning, and there'll be more times as we develop things to get that kind of input. And we're also always willing to get input, email, just call us, email if you think of something, get it to us. Because we are interested. We do want that input. That's how we create great projects. We don't create it on our own. We create it with the public. So.
Susan Oyer again, just to kind of, yay, they're waiting on this. Several things while I was listening. I think a lot of people were trying to find the word sympathetic when it comes to design styles, and I think that's why we're all being more drawn to this. I think we all recognize that we need at least, because my opinion again is in this area, and I agree with you, we don't want to look like historic buildings, but we need to have some sympathetic tones to them. Yes, Meisner can look a little dated, so why not take off the barrel roof tiles and put a flat roof so we can have solar, and so we can do the Gacko paint, the 50-year paint that's so reflective, but make it sympathetic and looking like it is Meisner, not necessarily Meisner-esque, Mediterranean or contemporary Mediterranean-esque. My family was the first family in Boynton Beach, and my grandfather built a lot of these old original houses. You will note that they are not Meisner, but they are Mediterranean-esque. So our city is over 100 years old, maybe not its incorporation date, but its founding date. We're, 122 now? We need to respect the fact that we're one of the oldest cities in the county, and we should embrace our heritage, and we should look to what is historic here, and we should be sympathetic with it while having some more updated aspects so that we don't have the barrel roof tiles, which are crazy expensive and they break easy and we don't need them in hurricanes, but we could make it similar too. And again, I would go back to having some kind of initial front building on the City Hall that is the Meisner design. Let's be able to say that we have an actual public access Meisner building, and we will be the only city in Florida with 2 of them if we were to make the entrance to our City Hall. I'm not saying the whole building, just like an entrance little check in here and then shift you off to somewhere else in the building. But that way we can say we have a Meisner, an actual Meisner building, and he made it just for us. The other cities didn't get this. We got this. Why are we continuing to allow these plans to just languish in the library or the Palm Beach County Historical Society? This is a jewel that we have that no one else has. And yes, it's not that pretty, and yes, it's not that, stunning, but don't make the whole building that way. Make the front part and then make it more like this towards the back. We've been talking about colors. Barb is right. We need to have pretty colors, ocean colors. This is going to be on Ocean Avenue. We need ocean-esque colors, not this hideous thing that's on terracotta that's down on 500 Ocean that I argue about at every single city commission meeting. But we do need the pretty colors. But we also have to be respectful of the fact we live in South Florida. We need to be thinking about the environment. We need to be we are on the forefront. They just hired a strategic, what's her title? Strategic, sustainable coordinator, yes. So we need to be going, okay, well, I remember growing up here, every house was white. Why was everything white? Because it reflects the light. We didn't have air conditioning when I was a kid because we didn't need it. Everyone had a white house with a white roof, just like they do in Greece and Turkey. And guess what? You don't need as much AC. So now I'm not advocating everybody. I would love to see Leisureville in all white with lots of colorful trim, but that's not realistic. So why aren't we doing the white roofs? Why aren't we embracing as many sustainable things that we possibly can? Yes, we need drastically more trees. I'm the tree lady who screams more trees at all the meetings too. I do think we need to put pretty trees around our buildings, and our city buildings specifically. City Hall, if you've noticed, if you've been to Lake Worth lately, they have the pink crepe myrtles that are now, they've treed them. They're standards. They're not regular bushes anymore. And they are incredibly pretty, and they're that pale pink. They're distinctive. I'm seeing them in the other cities now, so other cities are picking them up. Let's put those around our governmental buildings, make it pretty, make it colorful, but yet have the shade trees up and down the streets so that when people are walking on the sidewalks or walking to a building or across one of these big concourses, not a concourse is the wrong word, crosswalk areas to whatever buildings, we're having shade trees, but then, have some pops of color. When we are doing our buildings, I know, Michael, you aren't too thrilled about the white and gray, but it is sustainable, it is environmentally friendly, and we do need to be thinking about that. I say make lots of accents in the blue and green. Let's make our city hall the white or the pale gray that reflects the light. The new graphene paint that just came out is highly, highly reflective and insulatory. They make it for the rooftops too. It was just invented recently. And why not take advantage of some of this stuff and use it? But then as the private buildings build, let them be the colorful blues and greens and the nicer colors. But let's set the standard and go green with our city buildings as much as possible. Let's see. I know Cindy had mentioned, and I had mentioned a little bit about our streets. Colin's not addressing one of the elephants in the room, and that's that they want to put very tall buildings on Ocean Avenue. A lot of us have been fighting this for a very long time. We want 2 stories. We were told by the CRA we would get 2 stories. Now they're saying, oh, that's the old director of the CRA, and we're going to do something different. And you want to put, 6, 8 stories, whatever they're talking about, the workforce housing across the street, right like 20 feet away from the Children's Schoolhouse Museum. That's crazy. I think I speak for most of the people in the room, maybe not all of you. We want no more than 2 stories on Ocean Avenue, and there needs to be a setback. 500 Ocean's an embarrassment that they built right to the street. Getting past the hideous color, they built right to the street, and that should not have been allowed, and they should have to knock half that down. But we need to be thinking about this, and you're right, Jack. It's Jack, right? John? John, okay, sorry. The stair stepping does look nice, but it needs to be back much closer to Boynton Beach Boulevard. I don't know anyone who's going to complain about height on Boynton Beach Boulevard, whereas everyone I know is going to complain about height on Ocean Avenue. And look at all the heads shaking that are not developers' heads. So I think that's something we need to be thinking about is height. We need to be sympathetic. I know you're talking about putting a parking garage here. I found a nice picture, and Colin, I'm going to have to send it to you. They took a parking garage, and I don't remember where it is, and they made the windows like, not necessarily stained glass, but an ombre rainbow color look. So it's darker colors and works its way up to lighter colors at the top. So it's an art feature, and it's pretty. And those poor people who are going to be living across the street from that parking garage, at least it would give you something pretty to look at. And that would be my suggestion on the parking garage, because I know we need them. My former Commissioner Fitzpatrick has mentioned repeatedly about the green aspects and having the LEED certifications and solar. When you guys go to do the LED lights, which I know you're going to do LED lights on everything, please make sure they are the warm LEDs. The American Medical Association just came out with that report a few months ago about how the cool white LEDs actually damage your health, keep you from sleeping, and cause a lot of problems. Let's make sure we're using what's healthiest for everyone. Let's see. Somebody mentioned the mid-century buildings. We have lost one of our mid-century buildings when they redesigned our post office. We have one mid-century building left. That's the Civic Center. It's going to be knocked down. So if we are thinking about changing styles, you know, it seems like a lot of people kind of like the coastal. Is there a bridge between the coastal and the Mediterranean as we shift further east? So we shift into a coastal look, but yet down in this general area, since our buildings are Mediterranean, something that maybe has a coastal Mediterranean feel or a contemporary Mediterranean feel, something like that might work.
And that is possible.
Yeah, well, anything's possible if you're willing to spend the money on it, right? And I think that's just about everything on my list, and you're all probably sick of hearing me. I would suggest that you look at Frankenmuth in Michigan. And I think Cindy's the one who mentioned she was at Pigeon Forge recently. And you look at these tourist streets, the streets that everyone wants to visit. They are 1 to 2 stories tall. They are pretty. They are cute. They are happy, nice little places. And they're not built to the max. And I would lastly remind you that statute says you have to have 2.5 acres of green space for every 1,000 people. So the plans to build the workforce housing or whatever you're putting over there right up 20 feet away from the Children's Schoolhouse Museum and take away all that green space maybe is something we don't want to have, because we need to have green space. So maybe there's a way to shift that so that we have more green space and have less, you know, ugly apartment buildings. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was at lunch a couple of days ago, right over at Frankie's here on Ocean Avenue, my friend was asking, how do you envision the downtown? This is my hometown, so I've lived here for 65 years next week. And when I go traveling and touristing and stuff, I go to towns, or what I would like to see in our town that we go to other towns to see are festivals and events. I know they've talked about all this apartment and retail. I'm not a big shopper, but I do like the events that towns have, whether it's music or art or I don't know what else they do, food festivals and those types of things. So I think that we do need that, you know, open space, and as they've spoke about with the density, the more people that we're bringing to Boynton Beach, we need more open space to enjoy the area. We don't want to all just live in our apartments, even though they're lovely. We want to get out and enjoy the neighborhood.
I will say that we have been working on programmable outdoor space, and once again, there's a lot of outdoor space, or that's a hard word too, but there's outdoor space that is programmable. So I think you will be pleased with the site plan as we pull it together. I look forward to seeing you.
What about the painting, like maybe white and the gray? Like you were saying, that's very energy friendly. That's true. In the buildings on Wellbright and Federal, maybe, they're brown, they're so dark, so maybe we could paint those white and gray. That would feel really good give us some extra energy in the town.
Thank you for the input.
All right, I'm going to give you, one more, and then we're going to kind of summarize and, go ahead.
Hello, Candy Brueggemann, 713 Southeast 4th Street. Just had my 2 cents to put in. Sorry. There is a need for sidewalks on Southeast 1st Street. So I know there's not a whole lot of space there coming down. That's one of the
Right. All of the streets within the project will be rebuilt.
And might have to be a one-way street to allow at least one sidewalk, but there is a need for sidewalks on Southeast 1st Street.
Right. The fortunate thing, Southeast 1st Street is a city street, and the land is the city land. So we can do whatever we need to do. But yeah, the streets will be rebuilt. They will be walkable streets. That's the whole goal of this project, is make it walkable throughout the project and safe. So First Street is going to get rebuilt. It has to, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to go underneath First Street to make this project work. So, and I think I'm 99% sure right now that we will be showing all of those sidewalks on the site plan. If it's not right now on the preliminary site plan, as we work through it. And I also think it's actually required in our code, so we'll be doing it. So we don't want to short ourselves on sidewalks. That's not good.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. And I like the Mediterranean flow into coastal.
Okay.
Also.
So I'm going to
I'll help if you need.
Yeah. Wayne and I are going to try to summarize what we heard tonight, and we're going to go through the notes and look at it, and we'll get this out. But what I think we heard tonight, and it wasn't everybody's opinion, but I think the general opinion that we heard over architectural styles was kind of more of the modern Mediterranean coastal, with a coastal influence as a style. And again, you don't want to have every building exactly the same, so that means you could have some buildings with more of the porch and coastal style and more with the more Mediterranean. But I think that's what we heard, and what I want to do is everybody raise your hand to think that's what we heard tonight. All right, good. That's almost everybody in the room thinks that's what we heard tonight. So I didn't hear it wrong. That's good. We also got some great input on the site plan, which is wonderful, and we're still working on that. And I think that a lot of the ideas I've heard is we've started to build into the site plan, because we think they're important too, the people working on it. We have a great team working on this project. We have some of the best architects in the state of Florida working on it, which is these guys. And so I'm really excited about hearing the input, because I think we're going to be able to make it. And with that, Wayne, why don't you
And let me
close
just summarize on color, right? Because I did hear that we're going to go away from the darker corals, and that we're going to do some of the lighter pastel type yellows, blues, sea colors, oceans, a flavor of colors. That's what I think the general people had commented on. And then also there was a lot of talk about sustainability inside the project, and we are definitely, as we move forward, working on that too. Yeah.
Just want to make sure that everyone knows that we do have one more meeting coming up next week, same time, same place. We'll be discussing art and open places, so we hope you'll join us there. Also, next Tuesday, we have a job fair, community job fair. There's some information at the front desk. When you leave, you can pick these up. It's an all-day event with 2 different sessions, so if you'd like more information about that, please pick that up, check it out. I hope you'll join us next week for the meeting. Also, for you that do social media, please remember, and we will have this on YouTube. We have last week's meeting on YouTube, so you can watch, and if you missed anything, you can go to the Boynton Beach website, which is www.boynton-beach.org, and be sure on any of your social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, do hashtag Town Square Boynton Beach. We want to make sure we are getting your feedback and your input, and everybody else is seeing it. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it, really appreciate your time and input.
And one more reminder, we also will be back Monday night from 6 to 8 here to look at some more information on the site plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.